Hey everyone, happy Thursday and welcome to another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So today, despite being a Thursday, Rafa came in for about half a day, so appreciate that. He does it every once in a while just to kind of help out and keep the projects moving along. So let's start with what Rafa and I worked on. So you guys may remember who've been following the channel for a while is that the skylight windows on these buses can be a real pain in the ass, and a lot of times they just don't want to go in. And so we have a few tricks up our sleeve to deal with that. One of which is actually trimming the, trimming the lip here. I don't know if you can, this is gonna focus on that. There we go. Maybe not. Anyway, if this would focus on that, what you would see would be that this lip here has been trimmed. And so basically what we want to make sure is that this lip nowhere is too thick, sort of in this direction. And that's thick compared to the sort of like outer opening, which is this edge here. So it's basically the distance between that edge and the thickness of this lip here. And so sometimes this lip can be a little thick, especially sometimes in the corners. So, you know, maybe like here or something. And so when it seems like windows are going to be tough to get in, we usually go and we kind of thin this lip out here so it's not going to fight us. Because ultimately on the seal itself, it has a lip that needs to kind of like go around this. So you guys who put windows in before know the trick where you put a string in the groove, you push the window up. Pretty much all windows are the same, right? So not just skylights. The same with, you know, fixed side windows like these or whatever. You put a string around it, you put it up there, and then you start pulling the string, and that forces the lip on the seal to go around the lip in the body. So anyway, yeah, when they're tight, that lip just doesn't want to go around this. And so anyway, we tried yesterday, I think it was, we went and we kind of like tried all the windows, and we saw that this one, we felt like it was going to be fine. And the other two on that side seemed like they were going to be fine. Sorry if some of this is review. I think I talked about this yesterday, or I know I did. But anyway, so I had gone and ground all the ones that felt like they were going to be a problem. So I think there were 3 on this side, 2 on the other side. And so today, Rafa and I actually went and installed windows. They're out now. But in all the ones that felt like they were going to be problematic and that I had gone and ground. And we're pretty confident that they're all going to go in okay. So ground enough of them off. And so we're pretty happy. So that was kind of the final thing before we're going to send this bus over for its headliner. We still have to pick out or find, hopefully, the correct color for the canvas, which on this bus is called pearl white. And so we need to find that color canvas or one that's close enough to it. Again, this top is pretty creamy compared to, like, say, this one here. So that real white top would look pretty bad on this creamy roof here. So anyway, but he does have the headliner material already, so Octavio and team can start putting in the headliner. He already has all the covers that go on all the walkthrough section and stuff, the trim for the walkthrough, pretty much everything. He has the rear carpet, which goes here. So yeah, pretty much those guys can start all that stuff. So they'll probably have this thing for probably more than a week, maybe even like 2 weeks. It's a huge job to put in primarily the headliner and the sliding rag top, and also the walkthrough section. This is like a decently big job itself. So yeah, they're gonna have this thing for a while. So I might go ahead and roll it over there tomorrow if Octavio has space, which I think he does, and then let them go ahead and babysit this thing for a while and work their magic. And then in the meantime, we'll try and find a bitchin' color for the vinyl top. So that's kind of what Rafa and I did this morning, working together for a while. And then after that, he turned his attention to the buggy, and the blue one that is, and got its windshield kind of on. It's not really bolted down yet, but you know how it is with these things. Lots of test fitting. These bodies being fiberglass and the molds for them, I'm sure were all handmade. You know, nothing is the same left to right on these cars. So he had to trim the bottom of this, of the windshield frame a bit on this side. It was, you know, basically would have been touching down here. So he trimmed probably 1/4 inch off that to create this gap in here to make it the same as the other side. And just trying to get it to lay down flat. Again, we did have to make that brace that kind of brace the hood and the dash together. And so we want to make sure that these screw heads get covered. So this the windshield needs to come down enough so that the seal will kind of spread out a little bit and cover that. But it's being held up a little bit on the edges. So, you know, it's just like everything with these cars is a challenge. But the good news is that once the windshield goes in and is like fully bolted in and stuff, the rest of the car, and there's not that much left, frankly, after that, it's all like pretty easy stuff. So once the windshield's in and done, then the next will be connecting that huge wiring harness there to all the gauges and instruments and stuff like that. It controls. It looks like a lot of wires, but it's really not that many things. And so that'll happen next. The customer already has the interior for the car, back seats, front seats. So that's, you know, done essentially, other than bolting it all in. His motor is done. Again, this was a running, driving car. The donor buggy was. I'll probably pull his carburetor off and maybe get a rebuild kit for it. I don't know. I'll pull it apart and see how it looks. Sometimes you don't need a kit. It kind of depends, but it probably needs to be cleaned out because I think it probably sat and had gasoline in it, and you know, gasoline evaporates and leaves this crappy residue that makes carburetors run awful. So other than going through his carburetor and, you know, maybe I'll probably like check the valve adjustment and stuff like that, the motor should be basically ready to pop in. And again, he's got the wheels and tires for this thing. So this car should go together pretty fast the rest of the way once this windshield, which again is the last kind of like difficult thing. Once that's done, then the rest of it should be pretty like routine, you know, wiring and stuff like that. So fingers crossed that we're going to be past the kind of like Manx specific nightmare parts, which is primarily like everything up here, you know, hood, gas tank, windshield, dash. Like once all that nightmare stuff is done, the rest of it should be pretty straightforward. So fingers crossed on that. So yeah, Rafa worked on that and then he left at about noon. So again, appreciate him coming in for about half a day. So for me, what I did other than working on Rafa with those and then also kind of helping out some with that windshield was on this bitchin' car. I went ahead and fabricated up some mounts for his oil cooler and got it all mounted up. Let's see, where is it? Right here. So kind of tucked up under the frame nicely there. Obviously needs to be wired in still, but yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to see the brackets that I made. Yeah, there you go. You can see. So kind of like an L shape, but then with like a little tab on the end to bolt to the frame. So yeah, cut those metal pieces up and welded them together, you know, painted it and stuff like that. And so it's all mounted in there. And then also it's mounted with these. So these came from McMaster Car, these vibration dampers. So all 4 mounting points of the cooler have those on there. The cool thing is McMaster Car had those vibration mounts in metric sizes. So I don't like putting US size hardware on cars when avoidable. So those are actually M8 by 1.25 threads on those vibration dampers. So super cool sticking with metric hardware here. We try and do that. I hate putting like 1/4 bolts on these cars. It's just annoying as hell when you or somebody goes to work on it and none of your wrenches are fitting, and then you figure out it's a US standard size screw. It's just annoying. So yeah, try and stick to metric. So yeah, I got that all mounted up, and then I figured out what fittings that I need to plumb it in to the motor and the oil cooler, oil filter, which I had previously mounted up under there. So probably tomorrow I'll go ahead and pick up the oil hose and the rest of the fittings I need if they're in stock, and go ahead and get all that plumbed in. So that's actually a pretty good little milestone right there. And I think that, fingers crossed, that the guy at Gilmore is going to ship the rest of the air conditioning kit maybe tomorrow. Last I talked to him, which was last week, he was saying he thought probably this end of this week. So fingers crossed on that. And then, this baby is going to start going together here. On his front, we have determined that his front spindles are actually, they are welded, but they're very high quality. They're made by a guy named Russell at Old Speed, and his stuff, his reputation are all stellar. So I'm not worried about any of the front suspension stuff. Before, we were thinking they were probably from another vendor who has a terrible reputation. I won't mention any names, and he, I believe, has been sued many times. We thought they were from him, although they looked too nice to be him, but we were kind of erring on the side of caution. Anyway, the owner of this bus found his paperwork, and lo and behold, the spindles, the brake kit, everything like that came from Old Speed, which made me very comfortable that they're not just going to break or something like this other Joker's garbage has been known to do. So no, Old Speed is legit. Dude's been doing it forever, stellar reputation, and haven't met him in person, but apparently like super nice guy and always willing to be helpful. So, and now that we know who the brake kit came from, the brake line, which somebody before we got on the bus got way too aggressive on tightening it and actually cracked the fitting. So the brake lines are available for it, so that'll get us back on track. Those of you that watch the channel regularly know that Jacob and I actually started going through bleeding his brakes. I think it was last week, and then we found this leak, and yeah, it was because somebody got overly aggressive tightening a brake line and actually cracked the inside of the fitting on the brake line. So get that remedied, and this thing will have brakes here for too long. But anyway, I put the wheels on just to kind of, again, look at the clearance and stuff here. It'll settle some, but I believe the tires are still going to be comfortably below the fender lip when the thing is fully settled, because it's only lowered by a couple inches, and these wheels and tires are kind of short. So I think we're going to be okay without a narrowed beam, which was kind of why I was test fitting this. So the tires do sit kind of flush, but you know, it looks kind of nice without them all tucked in. Sometimes people tuck them in way too much, and to me it just looks weird. But these sit pretty flush front and back, and I don't think clearance is going to be an issue. We checked the back already, and it was super close, but seemed like it was going to be fine. So I think we're actually good to go. Once we get those brake lines, then we should be pretty golden here on his suspension and brakes, for that matter. The other thing, speaking of brakes, that was a good segue. Jacob and I bled the brakes today on this super awesome 63 ragtop here. So this car now also has brakes. I pretty much like redid the whole rear brakes on this car. I don't even remember why. There were some issues. I think he had leaky cylinders or something. So I think I replaced everything in the back here. I don't remember. But anyway, regardless, we had to go and bleed the brakes anyway because the transmission was out. And so the brakes had all been disconnected. And again, I think I replaced a bunch of parts. So yeah, his brakes have been all bled. They feel awesome. And then Jacob did a little bit more fine tuning on the adjusting the rear brakes. So yeah, this thing has brakes now. Yesterday I mentioned I did the cam brake in. So getting pretty close on this guy here. Oh, kind of exciting. What else? I think that's about it. The only other very minor thing was Jacob did start pulling some of the rear lights on the bay window bus, which is out there under the cover at the moment. So that's it for today. Pretty productive day. Worked on a lot of different projects and got a lot of things done and met some good little milestones here on some of these projects. So that is it for today, guys. appreciate you guys watching. Thanks to all you that make comments and do likes and all that good stuff. Makes us happy. So thanks again, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye.